Hey guys, welcome back, and we will read chapter 10 together. If you open your book, it's on page 76, and that's where we will be starting. Dad picks me up at school, and we drive to meet Mom and Emma for her second meeting with the audiologist. They weren't going to bring me this time either, but I begged and pleaded until I wore them down. The appointment is at 4 p.m., so I'm not missing school to go. We park in the garage, and Dad and I navigate the halls to the audiology department. In the doctor's office waiting room, Mom is staring at her cell phone, and Emma is gazing at the mirror attached to the car seat. Checked in? Dad asks. Mom nods. As we wait, Mom asks me about my day, and I tell her the entire 7th grade got out of language arts class for a safety assembly, but neither of us is paying much attention to what I'm saying. Dad isn't even pretending. We're all too busy wondering when the door to the doctor's office will open. The conversation fades, and then we're just sitting silently in the waiting room, which smells like oranges and mint. Magazines on the tables at either end of the black leather couch are arranged in fans around lamps with bulbous lime green bases and wide beige shades. The magazines are boring adult titles like Happily Happier Home and Health and Slow Cooked Style Digest. There's a kid's corner with some baby toys like blocks and one of those thingamabobs where you move wooden beads along the curved wire like an abacus that melts in the sun. I look up at the buzzing fluorescent lights. Over and over, I count the 8 glowing rectangles running in 3 rows between the pockmarked tiles. 2, 3, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3. A woman with a bronze complexion and her hair in tight braids emerges from a door that leads into a long, bright hallway. Emma, she confirms, even though we're the only family here, and we follow her to a small exam room. There are only 2 chairs, so I stand behind Mom and Dad. Dad offers for me to sit in his lap, but I'm too old to do that in public, especially in front of medical professionals. The woman weighs Emma and checks her pulse, then writes down a few things and leaves. The audiologist knocks a few minutes later and enters with a clipboard in her hand and a pen behind her ear. She's wearing a navy blue sweater under a white lab coat, and a thin necklace of pearls lays at the base of her pale pink neck. She seems to be trying to make herself look older, with blonde hair pulled back into a tight bun, but there are no wrinkles on her face, not even when she provides a condescending smile. She shakes our hands, and when I sniff mine afterward, it smells like a little baby powder. You must be Emma's big sister. I'm so glad to meet you. She doesn't sound glad so much as proud of herself for figuring out who I am. My name is Miss Slap. Miss Slap has been talking with us about ways to support Emma, says Mom. You see, the first few years are critical if we're going to help a child make the best use of her ears. That's why it's very important that we get your baby sister fitted for hearing aids today so that we can get her back onto a normal track as soon as possible. The way she says the word normal makes me feel itchy, and the more she speaks, the less I like her. She comforts us by telling us that people with hearing loss aren't mentally challenged, but that they need, as she says, intervention to participate in the world. Once we have the hearing aids in our ears for a few weeks, we'll start to get a sense of whether she's a good applicant for cochlear implant surgery, which would augment her ability to process sound. A cochlear implant, she looks directly at me as she explains, is an amazing device that allows us to get right into the auditory nerves and help them receive stimuli they're getting. Miss Slap gives an uncomfortably wide smile for someone talking about surgery and folds her hands on the table. Today, we'll be making a wax mold of your sister's ear so that the tiny hearing aid and the tiny hearing aids the technicians make will fit right. It isn't painful, but it is a bit unpleasant. So, Mom and Dad, I might need some So, Mom and Dad, I might need some support from you in helping in keeping the little one still while the wax sets. Whatever you need, says Dad. Are there any questions for you have, big sister? I only have one. When do we start learning sign language? And by we, I mean Mom and Dad. I've already learned almost 40 signs by this point. Mom shoots me a look as if I said something horribly rude. Well, it is true that manual communication is one option to consider. Miss Slap's already angular face draws to a point at her pursed lips. But I would discourage such a course at this time. Why? I asked. You see, the fear, Julie, is it? Miss Slap waits for me to confirm, but I don't feel like correcting her. So it's Mom who says, Jillian. Excuse me, Jillian. If you show your sister signs, it may discourage her from using her mouth, tongue, and lips properly. For now, I recommend that you avoid using any signs at all. We don't want to confuse her. Until a family decides to go down the road of manual communication, it's best to focus on the child's attention to spoken language. I look over at Dad, who winces at the word any, but recovers quickly. And Mom's wide eyes look ready to latch onto anything this woman says. My dislike for Mrs. Slap is quickly turning into a fiery hatred. In fact, it's my recommendation to new parents that you don't encourage the types of hand gestures we often use with babies, like waving. We want to instill in your sister an understanding that communication comes from the mouth. So instead of waving, you might say, hello. She won't hear you, but she'll see your lips move, and in turn, she'll move her lips in response. In Dad's lap, Emma chews on a teddy bear. Obviously, this woman is talking about her like she's an animal that needs to be trained. Can I go to the waiting room? I ask. I've got a lot of homework to do. My, what a good student you are. I can tell you're going to be a great role model for your little sister. Miss Slap's voice sounds like rock candy, trying to pull off sweetness, but in reality, sharp, painful, and ultimately unsatisfying. I have no intention of doing an ounce of homework. But now I can feel an angry heat an inch under my skin. I'm all alone in the waiting room, and the very first thing I do is practice my signs. I pull up the list on my phone, and I start at the top. Eat, sleep, diaper. For today, I think the perfect word is angry, and the sign is pretty great too, like you're scrunching up your own face with your hand. I text Macy a few times, but she doesn't answer, so I switch over to playing Cactus Smash. Not long after that, a pair of white men walk into the waiting room, led by a toddler with a head of platinum blonde curls. The kid is wearing denim overalls and light-up sneakers. They aim right for the kids' area and start building a block tower. The adults check in at the receptionist's window and settle into a pair of chairs to catch up on their days. I'm about 3 spiny succulents away from leveling up with Desert Master when I hear a scream from behind the door that leads to the exam rooms. Emma's most helpless, miserable wail is unmistakable. That must be the wax mold. From the way Emma is screeching, it sounds way more unpleasant than unpleasant. The men look over at me and half smile in a way that means, wouldn't want to be that kid. And half nod, that means, but we've been that kid's dad and it sucks. The toddler never even looks up. I wonder how many doctor's visits they've been to, and whether they screamed like Emma when they were measured for a hearing aid. Dad is still thanking the doctor when the door opens, and he steps back into the waiting room. Mom is right behind him with Emma, who isn't shrieking anymore, but she's still crying. Mom's face has a few tears of her own on it. The receptionist waves as we leave, so do the toddler's parents. I wonder what Miss Slap would think of our waving. Probably that we're setting a bad example. I hold my tongue until we're in the car, but once the doors are closed, I let loose. That was awful. Now, Jillian, be nice, says Dad. Miss Slap is a professional and an expert. She's been doing this since before you were born. Mom joins in. She's right, though, Dominic. That was absolutely awful. It doesn't mean that she has to yell about it. I want to yell about it, too, and I'm a grown woman. Mom looks at Dad and then at me. Dad scratches his neck and opens his mouth a few times before speaking. She is pretty intense. She said we shouldn't wave to Emma. Wave. I wave my hand frantically. That is a bit much, isn't it? Says Dad. I can't believe we're even having this conversation. Every baby in history of babiness has waved with their fat little baby hands. It's even in milestones for your baby. The dog-eared book that has recited on Mount Coffee Table since Mom announced she was carrying a very special package. I want my baby to wave at me, Dominic. I do too, says Dad. So what do we do now, I ask. Mom breathes deeply. Let's see how Emma takes to the hearing aids. That's it, I ask. We're going to try everything we can, says Dad. We just need to keep our ears open. I mean, you know what I mean. Dad shakes his head as if he can get rid of what he said that way. But what about signing? Isn't that a thing to try, I ask. Mom makes a funny noise, somewhere between a sigh and a cry. We just want to make sure that Emma can be part of the hearing world too, our world. We'll talk about it, says Dad. For tonight, I think we all deserve some pizza. Sound good? I don't have it in me to cook, says Mom. Neither do I, says Dad. Dad calls Polly's and we pick up the pie on the way home as soon as we're eating on the couch. And soon we're eating on the couch. Dinner is perhaps the least fun I've ever had eating pizza. No one says anything. We're just sitting there, chewing and staring at nothing in particular until Emma starts crying. Mom gets up but can't calm her down. She paces back and forth with Emma in her arms, rocking her from side to side. She won't eat. Mom is nearly whining. Her diaper's clean. She doesn't have a rash. I don't know what to do. Here, give me a turn with her and finish your slice. Dad doesn't have any more luck with her than Mom does, so after Mom's done eating, she tries again to feed Emma. That finally settles her down, though she's still fussy and she keeps forgetting what she's doing and starts crying again. They're so much easier when they're old enough to tell you what they want, Dad says, slipping onto the couch, half smiling at me. I half smile back, but on the inside I'm thinking, if you don't let her sign, who knows when that will be. The next night, Mom and I get ready to watch our favorite singing competition television show, Belt It Out. For each battle, 2 teams are assigned the same song. They have to cover it in a musical style of their choice. They can't change the words or the basic beat, but they can adjust the tempo, style, and instruments however they want. Mom woke for a nap a few minutes ago, and she still looks kind of tired. She watches the opening number with the glazed eyes, but she's in a good mood. She's smiling, and by the end of the song, she's singing along. It feels like our lives are balanced on a rock on top of another rock on top of another rock on top of a crag jutting up from the sea, constantly teetering in fear of falling. Every once in a while, everything is in balance enough to appreciate the view, but you can never forget that every motion is a risk. The big number for today's battle is Landslide by Fleetwood Mac, and Chelsea's team has turned it into Trance Electronica. I don't think it's that good. Mom calls it a travesty to Stevie Nicks, who originally sang the song. Then there's a belted out backstory from Beatrice R. Beatrix, one of the contestants on Chelsea's team. Apparently, that's really the name her parents gave her, and she doesn't even hate them for it. Heck of a name, says Mom as she speeds through the commercials. That's worse than mine. You've got to love a man to be willing to be Patty Perillo. I mean, I could practically be a cartoon character, Patty Perillo, the pleasant panda. Just dress me up in a furry suit and put a basket of cookies in my paw. Mom puts her hand in the air near her ears, bobs her head from side to side, sporting a ridiculously large open-mouthed grin. I can't help but giggle at her. Yeah, well, my name goes up and down so many times it looks like a heartbeat monitor. JILLIANPIRILLO, I say as I draw my name in the air with my finger. It is a moniker with enough L's and I's to bankrupt a small nation. I told your father that when we were naming you. He got off easy. Dominic is a name that can support a caboose like Perillo. So why'd you change your name if you don't like it? Before she married Dad, Mom was Patricia Thompson. Oh, you know, Mom trails off after that. But I don't know. Maybe Mom doesn't either. As for me, even though it might not sound like it, I like my name, and I have no plans to ever change it, even if I get married someday. Dad's car pulls into the driveway, and I meet him at the door with a hug and a cheek kiss. He leans his elbow on the back of the couch and greets Mom with a kiss on the lips. Mom asks him about his day, and he says that it was nothing special. He jokes about a customer who came into the shop yelling that their car needed an alignment and how he wished he could give the customer an alignment right to his head. When the show comes back on, it seems the judges didn't like Transalonica Landslide any more than we did. The 3 members of Chelsea's team are going to have to sing their hearts out on one last time for a chance to stay in the competition. We see them in the green room with Chelsea panicking about their performance. I still don't see what's so great about listening to the same song over and over again, Dad says. If the teams do it right, it's like listening to a completely different song, Mom says. Still sounds dumb to me. People pouring their hearts into music isn't dumb. I'll tell you what's dumb. YouTube videos about men challenging each other to eat disgusting things. Now that's dumb. Good idea, Patty. I bet there's a new episode up for Can You Chew It? Dad pulls himself a beer from the fridge and heads to their bedroom. Not too loud, Mom reminds Dad. Emma's sleeping in there. Patty, the rest is unspoken sentences linger in the air as each of us turn to remember it doesn't matter how loud Dad is. The room feels cooler. It doesn't matter how loud Dad is. The room feels cooler, the conversation is gone, and the rock rumble into the sea like they were never there. Dad disappears into the room. It isn't until the next commercial that I ask the question, repeating my brain. Is Emma going to get the operation? Mom shakes her head. I don't know. Are we going to learn to sign? Maybe. Your dad and I need to talk about it. Are we at least going to wave at her like a normal baby? Jilly, sweetie, you're going to have to be patient. We all need to be patient. Speaking of Emma, I think your dad woke her up. He probably turned on the light. I should really go get her before she launches into a full-on cry. Thanks for the reminder. As if getting up to go get Emma was my idea. I press pause on the DVR the moment the show comes back on, and I'm waiting for Mom to settle back into her seat with Emma. Travis Tyler, host of the show, is making a face on the screen that looks halfway between a sneeze and a demonic possession. When I turn the show back on, Travis resumes his excitement for the next performance. Mom's eyes are trained on the bundle in her arm. Her lips are squeezed close together, and I look away before I see a second tear. All right, and then tune back in with me for chapter 11. Thank you.